Hi guys, thank you for tuning in. How are you? I am Dan and this is my channel Engelgeist, and I am getting ready to do for you the water sign forecast for April. I was supposed to do them yesterday, but you guys, I was tired. And it was a bit of a rough day, so I decided not to do that. Only because I love my water signs and I wanted you guys to feel like you were getting the real full reading. So let me just share this out to a couple of groups really quick. It is going to be live, and it is going to be first Cancer, then Scorpio, then Pisces. Sorry that you guys had to wait till the very end, but you guys got to be first last month, so you'll deal with it. You guys are easy peasy. I do have the chat box up. Hey Gabby, I see that you're watching. Hi Marge, how are you? I have the chat box up, but I might take it down just so that I pay attention to what I'm doing and what I'm connecting to, because doing these three signs back to back, I try not to engage in the chats, okay? But I do have a chat window up. I'm gonna try and not watch the chat window on purpose. So don't take offense if I don't respond to you guys. It's not about that. Hi Tiffany Pyle. Hi Aneta Casada. So Pisces is gonna come last, Gabby. So I hate to make you wait, but the first shooting is always live. So if you want to come back and watch it later in replay, you certainly can, and then you'll be able to just go directly to Pisces. But I'm going to start with Cancer and work my way through. All right. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, bear with me. Also, if you want to come back and watch the video, timestamps will be placed. I have to timestamp all of the April signs. I haven't done any of that or created the thumbnail for it. I've been a bad reader. So I need to get caught up on some of that work, but I will once I finish these water signs. So let's see what's going on. This is your Tarotscope for the sign of Cancer. So those of you with a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Cancer, or if you have heavily placed planets in Cancer, you may want to watch this this forecast, right? Because it probably will pertain to you in the month of April. Things to look out for, things to be aware of. Some of you, this is a broad spectrum reading for, multiple people, right? So it's going to be broad in the terms. You're going to have to learn where or figure out where to apply some of the things that I say into your life. But I trust that my viewers know how to do that, and we'll figure it out as you go. If anybody's interested in a personal private reading, you can certainly book that with me via the business page. Please give me a like at the business page, or subscribe on my YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you're notified when I go live. And I have some ideas for some live stuff, so it should be interesting. Hey Kelly, and hey Michelle, how are you? So let's see what's going on. I know I can't have the chat box up because I'm going to see you guys and I'm going to talk to you guys, and I need to pay attention to what's going on with the energy. And plus, because we're in such a weird space right now, like with everything that's going on worldwide. All right, so let's see what Cancer's got going on for April of 2020. And I know my water signs are feeling this shit too. You guys are all my feelers, my emotional babies. Okay, that felt weird. I'm gonna shuffle that one more time. Give me one more second. That's not right. That was weird. One card flipped out and flipped over. So we're gonna do one more shuffle. There we go. That's more clear, more defined. Thank you, Cancer, for stepping up. All right, this first card is what I call the U card. This is sort of where you're going to be operating most of the month in April. It's not necessarily how you're going to be for the totality of April, but just kind of the general gist of where the Cancers are going to be operating from energetically, emotionally, that sort of a thing. And it will tell us a little bit about sort of not only where we're at in the month of April, but it also gives us insight into what we could be potentially creating for the future. So you guys have the Queen of Pentacles. I love it. So this is an earth sign, obviously, because it's Pentacles energy. The Queen, she's very compassionate, she's very loving, she's very generous, right? So my Cancerians, you guys are probably going to be being generous, right? I do feel like when I'm looking at this that there might be a little bit of fret around money, and of course, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, that would make sense as far as everybody having to take like a month off in the world. So money is going to be probably a central focus for you guys in the month of April. But with this being the queen as your center, I feel like although there might be challenges monetarily or materially, some of you guys might have your home situations up for question. There might be just questions around material relationships, homes, career changes, basically, is what I feel like this is about. Or adapting, using this queen's energy, her smarts, her insight, her prowess to kind of manipulate yourself around and through situations dealing with the material world. I like that this card is your center only because it feels like you guys are actually really thinking in terms of, okay, shit, how can I fix this? Or how can I do this, but do it from a place of compassion, do it from a place of nurturing, do it from a place of still having that authority of the queen, right? The awareness and the authority of the queen, but she's just a bit more nurturing. She's a bit more all-inclusive, if that makes any sense at all, is the kind of the word or the feeling that I'm getting. So although we are central in our focus in the month of April in our material, I don't want to call it abundance because I feel like to me this is about sort of smoothing out kinks materially, either in jobs, homes, money. April is the time where you guys are making those decisions, and there's some big decisions, especially with this mountain in the background. It feels like, to me, we're coming through some hard times. So, like, maybe second half of March or early part of April could be a little challenging for you guys financially or at the job place, whatever it is. But the grace of the queen, I really think my cancers are going to hold it together really well, right? You guys are going to keep your composure. You're going to be like, okay, just breathe, bitch, just breathe. We can do this. We can manipulate this, and I don't mean manipulate in a bad way. I mean like work the energy or work that pentacles, those goals that we have, those things that we need to create, and have them work for us rather than against us, even if they're kind of breathing down our neck in the month of April, okay? Because I feel like this mountain is right behind her, right? She's aware that the mountain's there, but she's also not giving the mountain her attention, okay, Cancer? She is like, no, bitch, not today. I am gonna look this way because it's a better view and there's more options. So I like the feeling of this. That's just sort of what I'm getting from this, is like my Cancers are gonna be compassionate towards others, but also be putting themselves in this place of maybe me first, with regard to where you fit in your material world and how well you're doing. And you will be fine. I feel like the Queen of Pentacles is a very powerful, good earth energy card to have as your center. It also speaks to grounding too, staying grounded in the month of April. So whatever is going on financially, you know, continue to keep that air of compassion about you, that air of nurturing about you for yourself first, and then for others, and also ground in that. Okay, because Cancers, you guys are good when you're in that space, that nurturing, mothering sort of energy. All right, so let's see what the next card is. This is what I call the foundation. It's sort of the card that the everything is built upon, right? I use the analogy of the foundation of a house, right? So this is the card from the past that kind of gives us insight into why things are the way they are for us in the month of April. So this card will not only be what opened the door for everything to be the way that it is also the card that kind of holds everything in place. So let's see what we've got here. Beautiful. We have the Temperance card. So this is all about sort of balance and bringing everything kind of, getting everything sort of lined up. And I swear to God, I'm trying not to read this like coronavirus tarot, but it feels like you guys are going into April a little bit more prepared than everybody else is. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know if my Cancers actually feel that way, but with this Temperance card being at the foundation of all of this, it says to me that there's been times where you guys have brought in this energy of calm, this energy, and this is a major arcana, so this is a very nice, solid foundation. This is sort of the foundation that this Queen of Pentacles is able to be built upon, right, in the month of April. So when we're thinking about being nurturing, compassionate towards ourselves and building what it is that we need materially amidst sort of the chaos that's going around. We have this wonderful period from our past where we were actually very able to kind of bring about balance, to bring about take situations that maybe weren't working in our favor, and again, this word manipulate, but manipulate them so that they became workable scenarios, if that makes sense. So what I feel like this card is saying to my Cancers is go back and think about times when they were tough in the month of April. If things feel sticky or if things want to like breathe down your neck, go back to the times where things were tough in your mind and remember how beautifully you handled it and how strong you were. There's moments of strength, beauty, serenity, balance, peace that you guys have had in your past that you can call upon in your now in the month of April that is going to help fortify and strengthen this Queen of Pentacles as your center throughout April. So you guys, I love that this is your foundation. I also love that this angel is here in this card. This card is always, throughout most decks, is depicted with an angel. But the fact that this angelic being is down here in the bottom of this foundation to me says that I kind of get this feeling that my Cancerians are a little bit maybe protected in the month of April. There's a little bit of a spiritual guidance happening if you allow for it. If you remind yourself that I can bring this into balance, I can ground this, I can have this, I can create this. Even in the face of adversity, even if maybe the environment around us is telling us no, that's not true. The no is not true, guys. You guys can create it through this idea of this strength of this Temperance card that is your foundation moving through the month of April, okay? So call upon that energy. You've had it before. You need to think, what I feel like I want to say to you is you need to think back to when times were tough. Maybe they weren't as tough as they might be this April. And I don't want to make my Cancers think like, oh my God, April's going to suck. It's not. What it is it's about staying focused and staying strong in your intentions and grounded in creating that with which you need, right? And to believe in that, you need to call back to those times when this Temperance card was in play in your life, where you were able to bring in your own sort of personal sense of awareness, your own personal power, and bring that sort of even your own spirit into things and brought things into order and into alignment, okay? The next card is your spirit or soul card. This tells me a bit about sort of where your spirit or soul is at and what it's doing. Whoa, bitches. Okay. And I say bitches with a, like, to me, that's a term of endearment for those of you that are new to me. I don't mean this in a bad way. But you guys have the Queen of Swords up in your soul space. What I love about this, and the reason why I called out whoa bitches, is because Temperance is always depicted by a feminine angel as a rule, right? Or in most decks, I always see Temperance as this female angel. We have the Queen of Pentacles in the center for your card for the month. It's sort of grounded, focused, compassionate, nurturing energy. In the upper higher self or the higher mind, our soul and spirit, we have the Queen of Swords. Swords is the element of air. It's also the intellect, right? Swords is about making decisive thinking or struggling sometimes with our thoughts and where our mind is at. My Cancerians, you guys, I feel like your spirit is really working with you and your mind to keep you strong in the month of April. These three ladies, and this is why I said bitches, right? My girls. These three girls here in a row, for all my Cancerian watchers, they speak to a definite power. There's a definite, like, sort of, like, I love trinities, you know, like that's why my thing is Engelgeist 333, right? There's a trinity happening here of these three feminine forces at work, and they're here to sort of balance everything out. We have the beautiful rounding of the earth here, we have the air here, and actually this Temperance, she's sort of pouring this water back and forth, which could, you know, represent the element of water or your emotions. So there's a sort of to me, a feeling like really being in the driver's seat in April. You may not feel like situations are controllable, but you will get to choose. Your spirit will show you how to sort of train your mind to make decisive thoughts that help to guide you in grounding and creating whatever it is that you sort of need through the month of April. Now, I'm not going to say it's not going to be challenging. That mountain that we saw in the first card says to me the challenges are going to be present in April, right? But do you have the strength and the wherewithal and the balance to be able to face these challenges with authority and grace? Totally. That's what I see in these three women right here. That's what I see in this lineup of like feminine forces coming to the forefront. It's almost, I gotta say, it feels like they're here to protect my Cancers. Like my Cancerians, you guys feel a little bit protected in the month of April. It's the sense that I'm getting from these three cards right down the center. Now, the next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These are events, sometimes people, or they can be things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on you during the month of April. So you should be made aware of them. Sometimes they can be helping, sometimes they can be hindering. So let's just see what we have. Interesting. Let me just look here. Okay, what's going on? All right, so this card came out inverted. And I'm just checking some of the other cards just to sort of see if the deck is sort of half inverted, half not, and it's not. Like I'm just sort of flipping up some of the cards to see if I maybe turned half the deck, and I did not. For some reason, this card is showing up inverted today. So we're gonna read this inversion, I feel like. This is the Death card. And it's funny to me because the minute I put him over there and I feel like he is upside down and I feel like his focus is on that Queen and I feel like he is also, all right, let me just slide this over and show you what's going on here. What I feel like is going on and what I feel like the message is here. With Death is major arcana. Death is, this is an outside influence, guys, okay? So Death is, very rarely in a reading does Death actually represent death. Death represents transformation, transmutation, the ending of one cycle and the beginning of something new. It's always, to me, actually it can be a blessing because it's usually an inevitable card, and it's a card that is sort of opening doors for us that maybe we either weren't brave enough to, or weren't willing to, or we just didn't even know that that door was there. So something needs to die off or be taken away so that something new can be born, right? Now, when I look at this Death card, because it's inverted and it's as an outside influence, it's funny to me because he looks like he's sort of dancing, and he's dancing upside down, and he's sort of staring directly towards this mountain that she refuses to sort of, not refuses to look at, but that she's kind of choosing through her thoughts and through her balance, you know, this Temperance card, to not give in to the hijinks of the world around her. Do you understand? This Death card to me feels like this could be the world turning on its ear in the month of April. This could be a lot of things dying around us, or watching things dying around us, in the sense of people losing their jobs, or people not being able to pay their rent. This could be things, but what I'm feeling like with this Death card is it doesn't necessarily affect us as Cancers, but it's trying to get our attention. It's trying to freak us out. It's trying to get her to turn around and look at it and like pull her out of her sort of clear intent, her clear mind that's connected to spirit, out of this basis of Temperance. And it feels like, to me, it's like that monkey mind energy, right? It feels like he's monkeying around. He feels like he's hijinksing, like he's like, look at me, ha, ha, ha. And what it is it's these things that are going to appear tragic, they're going to appear scary. That's why he's coming in as the Death card, right? These are not like small, slight things, but what we need to take into account, and this is gonna sound selfish at first, but it's not, is that these things will be happening to those around us, not necessarily to us. The mountain here that we like feel that is close to us, that we're sort of maybe having to deal with or tackle, we can tackle. But when we take in and let Death come in and dance in around with this mountain, it makes this mountain feel that much bigger. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind in April. Don't let this, and the reason why he's inverted is because he is actually not, it is serious. The things that are going on around you is what I'm feeling like. The things that you might be watching people go through, the suffering that might be going on for them. And there is this nurturing quality to these three female cards that you're going to want to help, and you will be able to help people. But you have to understand that you help yourself first, and then you help them, and you also don't get dragged into the drama that is going on in the outside world and the craziness that this like upside down death card has in store. Okay, it isn't of you, it's outside of you. That's the importance of the position of this card. This is an outside influence. It's not a but it does have power, right? It does have the ability to influence us. So be mindful of that as you're going through the month of April. If you start to see things that seem rather, you know, unsettling, make sure you have to remind yourself, is this happening to me, or is this, you know, it's unsettling because it's happening to others. And that's okay that it's unsettling that it's happening to others. I know that sounds kind of selfish, and I'm totally not the type of person to say put yourself first, but in this case I'm going to say that that's the message that's going on here for my Cancerians, is you guys want to you can acknowledge it, but don't get sucked into it, is what I want to say. Okay, so the next outside influence is the Five of Swords. So this is also, to me, a little bit of hardship. Fives always represent sort of change to me, right? But when I look at this card, I'll show you a little bit. We have this like woman or this man sitting on the fence talking to this other man, right? And to me, this looks like sort of, again, people and their hardships. This is a sort of a more mental energy, right? It being the element of swords and the element of air. We also have to know, and this is thank you to one of my viewers who sent me this great article, which told me about Saturn going into Aquarius. Some of this Aquarian energy, which is this air, the swords energy, right? The element of air. We're shifting, our Saturn is shifting into the sign of Aquarius from Capricorn, right? And so this kind of ties into that a little bit for me, as far as the changing and the shifting of that going to that element of air. But what this feels like to me is, this feels like my Cancerians, and this feels like the sad stories of others, right? This person is down on their luck, they're asking maybe for help, Cancer's sort of maybe paying attention and having that discussion. There's going to be opportunities here where my Cancerian viewers are going to be able to interact with the world. It's like you have two interactions. You have complete and utter mayhem, like right, where it's just like wonkiness all over. Or if we kind of use this, the strength of this Queen of Wands, right, the strength of our mind and the strength of our groundedness and this temperance, this balance, if we keep these three ladies in our center through the month of April, there are moments where we will have interactions with people where we may be able to actually help them and create change for them. And it will also change for us. This five to me represents the changes for the Cancerians in how they operate in the world. Maybe some of you tend to give too much of yourselves, and you're learning not to do that now. You know, Saturn's a great planet. Like I read this article, it talks about, you know, Saturn is the planet of adulting. It brings us the hard lessons. It teaches us how to grow up. So this Five of Swords, to me, even though it's that sort of change energy, to me, it being an outside influence, it says to me that there's going to be people in situations that may approach us that need our help or need our attention, but there's a way for us to do it in a productive manner that offers both change for them and change for ourselves. This is the more measured, thoughtful sort of way of going about it, more cautious way of going about it. This is the more sort of like, all hell breaks loose. I'm watching CNN 24 hours a day, reading everybody's tweets on Facebook. The world's falling apart. Oh my God, help. Be careful. I think that this is the safer, this is the more temperance card. Let's just say that. So if you have this basis of temperance going on, this foundation of temperance and this ability to really bring in your spirit, bring in your soul, bring in your balance, bring in that ease and that grace, you can help others and you can change how you sort of interact in these situations. You have to remember you're not responsible for everybody's well-being. People are we can help each other, be compassionate, but we also have to allow them to help and heal themselves too. Okay? Now, this last card is what I call the potential outcomes card. This tells me sort of where most of my cancers will end up at the end of the month, barring that nothing major changes, right? So this says to me a little bit about sort of where sorry, I got off track there. This energy is sort of where things are naturally heading, right? So the good thing is that if it's something good, we don't have to do much to change it, right? We can just sort of let this card naturally sort of progress this way, right? If it is a negative card, this is only a warning, right? We can use this card as a warning to make choices and changes now to affect the outcome so it doesn't have to come to pass. It's not set in stone, guys. I just want you to be clear on that. Even though this is sort of the future card or the end of April, it's kind of where most of you may land, or if it's something negative, you can avoid this, but keep an eye out for it. So this is the Ten of Swords. Not the best card to have. So to me, the Ten of Swords speaks to, again, we have that swords and elemental air energy going on. The Ten of Swords usually is sort of like, tens represent completions of cycles, right? The benefit of this could be that we could be completing this mental cycle with this Queen of Swords in our soul space. We could be completing this mental cycle of torture by no longer giving the Death card in some of these situations our attention anymore, right? But then for some of you, this could be utter defeat in the sense that you do give this Death card too much attention. You do lose sort of your grounding or your temperance, and you end up by month's end totally sort of wiped out. Not wiped out, but like really just beleaguered and tired mentally, because so much is going on, and because you guys are such feelers, right? Because you have such big hearts, and because you do care so much and you do feel it. If you give, like, to me, the picture, and this is going to sound crazy, and maybe the picture that I'm getting is it's kind of like in the month of April, how do I want to describe this? Like, when you open your door, like if somebody knocks, you don't have to open your door all the way. You can open it just a little bit and peek out and see who they are and what they need. And I mean, like, on the other side that's knocking is the world, right? I'm not saying, like, shut yourself out, right? But we don't want to let all of this chaos in. We can have it come in a much more measured way and change how much we let in smaller doses that are more manageable and more balanced, that allow us to stay grounded and focused on what's working, what's good, and what's positive, and to create more material well-being, and also to utilize clear, decisive thought that comes from spirit. That will lead to the idea of the completion of this sort of maybe burning ourselves out time in and time again through other trying times. But some of you use this card as a warning, and be careful, because there is the potential for the idea of mental burnout, fatigue, overthinking, really needing to sort of withdraw by the end of April, okay? I think that this is just for some of you, though. I think that this is the majority of you can turn this into a completion cycle where it becomes about not necessarily giving our mind, and because we have this Queen of Swords sitting up here in the soul space, this is a training, right? This is a opportunity for us to connect with our soul, to allow our soul and our mind to work together, to understand that we get to pick and choose where we put our attention, where we choose to help, and when we can help, and when we're able to. Not, does that make sense? Versus just getting overwhelmed by it and overtaken by it. Okay? These three ladies in the center are very strong and very willing to keep you guys centered and balanced, but you have to stay focused on them. You have to, like, when the mid-month comes, or, you know, stuff starts getting hairball, or you find yourself on Facebook too much freaking out, you need to ground. You need to start to think clearly. You need to connect with your spirit. You need to close that door to the outside world a little bit, and bring the emotions back to you. Okay? I hope you understand what I'm saying to you guys, and I hope this makes sense. That is your forecast for the month of April. Please leave me a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe. And again, if anybody's interested in a private reading, you can always contact me through the business page. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm so close to busting through 400 subscribers, and I would love to have that happen in the midst of a quarantine. And like my business page and follow it, or the YouTube page, because I am going to be doing... I do free card pull nights and things like that, but I also have a new idea that's going to be coming out soon during this self-quarantine stuff that could be fun for all, I hope. So that is your April forecast for my Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I hope you guys have a wonderful April. Stay strong, and I will see you guys in May. And, you know, you can also see me every morning for the daily forecast. All right, bye, you guys. Take care. No. Death, what are you doing? Popping out upside down, you little bitch. Let me just double check these cards. Because that's just crazy. Hi, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And for those of you that are watching all the way through, thank you so much for being such dedicated viewers. I love you all. These are my water sign tarotscopes for the month of April. We just did Cancer. And we are about to do Scorpio, and then my all-time favorite sign, Pisces, which is me. Yep, that death card was the only card that was inverted. Cray cray. Okay. Alright, so let's get into what is Scorpio going to be going through. So those of you that are watching or tuning in, please share out the video if you'd like. This is for the month of April for the majority of Scorpio. Those with Sun, Moon, or Rising in the sign of Scorpio, or if you have heavily placed planets in the sign of Scorpio, you may want to watch this reading. If you care about a Scorpio, you could feel free to watch this reading. Anyways, there are there are ways that you can support the channel if you would like. I do have a Patreon over on Patreon under Engelgeist 333. If you'd like to subscribe over there, every little bit helps. Subscriptions, there's readings and things that are available over there that aren't available on YouTube or Facebook. What else? You can follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist 333. And again, please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when I go live. I do personal readings also. So let's see what's going on with my sexy, crazy Scorpios. Y'all a crazy bunch. So let's see what's going on here. Some of my best friends in life are Scorpio females. Like my closest female friends of all times have been either Pisces or Scorpio females, always. Anyways, so let's see what's going on here. All right. So this first card is what I call the U card. This tells me sort of where my Scorpios are going to be operating from most of the time throughout the month of April. You're not going to be here the entirety of the month of April. It just sort of gives me an idea of where you guys are vibrating at, what you're focusing on, and also not only what you're dealing with in April, but also what you could potentially be creating for, the future. So we have the Four of Wands. Nice card. I like this. Scorpios, to me, even though you guys are the element of water, to me you always come off, and this is more of a personal assessment of the energy of Scorpio. Scorpio is like the one water sign that seems to like want to produce or be a fire sign. So to me, it's not abnormal to see this. This to me feels like Scorpio energy, it being a Wands card. A wand represents the element of fire and the spirit. Fours are always about stability. So to me, I feel like you guys are concentrating on the month of April from this place of stabilizing everything at a deep sort of spiritual kind of space, right? Like there's a centering going on here. To me, there's a foundation building that I feel like that's going on here, but it feels like it's a foundation at the very core of who you are. All right. So I'm not sure what you guys have dealt with in the month of March, but to me, this feels like a rally and not like a rap. Well, not that you've necessarily gone through something bad, but this really feels like this is a conscious choice to fortify oneself at a very deep level to prepare for maybe what's coming or what you feel might be coming. Scorpios are very psychic. You're very in tune. Um, and so you guys might be aware of something or feeling something deep within your spirit that is requiring you to stay very balanced during this time. And it's funny because I saw that Queen of Pentacles with the Cancer sign, and there was a definite earth balance there. Where I feel the balance here is in the four, right? Like four legs of a table. It's like creating that stability with a sort of like a force. There's this energy, the energy of fire from the four of the wands element of this card. That energy of fire is very dynamic, very driven, very my way or the highway. Let's just say that. You guys aren't going to accept anything less than sort of having it the way you want it and working very hard towards getting it in a very quick manner. Okay? So I like this as your center because the focus is on this sort of deep stability at a spiritual level, like feeling very right within. And when you have that as sort of your center, that's what you're emanating out throughout most of the month. That says to me that what you will be creating hopefully will be, you know, coming back to you in that same sort of vibration to build upon that. Does that make sense? So this next card is what I call the foundation card. I use it as the analogy of the foundation of a house. It's sort of the card that everything is built upon, right? The foundation gets laid first. So this is the card from the past that everything is built upon, right? It's the thing that holds everything in place, and it's also the memory of this that kind of keeps everything the way it is. It opened the door for everything to be the way that it is, and it holds everything in place. So you guys have the Nine of Pentacles. So the Nine of Pentacles to me is about sort of material abundance, personal material abundance, not necessarily like everybody like feeling overly abundant. This is about hard work and kind of getting where you need to be. To me, this feels like my Scorpios have worked really, really hard to have what they have, and I feel like this Four of Wands is you're gonna be damn. Like I feel like you guys are gonna be damn. Like you'll be damned if you let anybody take it away from you. Is sort of the feeling that I'm getting. Not that anybody is going to take it away from you. I don't feel that necessarily, but I feel like all of this hard work that we have here and all of this stuff that we've created, we're trying to shore up and really understand and protect and further stabilize in the month of April, so that we can continue to have it, is the feeling. So this could represent as, you know, our career, this could represent as our relationships, or this could be actually just finances, right? Each of my Scorpios might be looking at some different aspect in their life where they've worked hard in this area, and they're not going to allow it to be sort of changed or removed from them. This also, this work that we've put in the past that helped us to create the success that we see in this card is also the reminder or the strength with which we want to draw upon as we sort of manifest and operate from this Four of Wands, which is this deeper stability at a spiritual level that we're utilizing or that we're creating in the month of April. Does that make sense? So when we have the Nine of Pentacles as our basis, we have to think about, okay, when and where have we been really successful at what we've done and how we've gone about it? And when we call in those memories, or we call in that energy, we then apply that energy and sort of almost build upon it, is the feeling that I'm getting, where as we build upon it, it opens this door for this Four of Wands, this stability at a deeper level. So stability is going to be very important for my Scorpios in the month of April. Like the production of that stability, the deepening of that stability, the deepening of that uh, um, security, right? That you guys are going to really be focused on that. And also, I really get this sense as I'm watching these cards, it feels like you guys are unwilling. Like there's this like, no. I hear this like clear, no, we are not letting this sort of affect us. So let's see what else is going on in the cards. This next card is your spirit or soul card. This is telling me where your spirit or soul is at and what it's focused on. So this was down in Cancer's bottom spot, right? So this is the Temperance card. She's this angel, right, that keeps coming back. She's back again. I love that she's back. I love that her energy is with the water sign. She's pouring this water back and forth between these two chalices, right? She's the major arcana card. I love that she is up here in your spirit and soul space. She's the opposite. She's in the opposite position. She was down here for Cancer. But I feel like this energy of I feel like she's sort of telling me, this card is sort of telling me that the theme for the water signs in general is to remain as balanced and calm as possible in the month of April. Do not lose your shit, Scorpios. Cancers, remember, you can hold it together. This is what I feel like is going on here. I feel like this is going to be the focus for us, and I think that there's gifts to be had here. There's things to be learned. There's depth to be depths of stability and spirit to be explored and had, right, for my Scorpios, that are gonna like produce even more beneficial results in the long run, right? So with Temperance up here in the soul spirit space, it says to me that your spirit is really trying to make sure that don't get how do I want to put this? I don't want to say don't get too crazy, but like don't get too emotional. Don't try and keep things in balance, keep things in perspective. Again, we've got this stability card, right, of this stabilizing this idea from this space of the spirit. This also signifies that to me, being in the soul spirit space and it being the card of Temperance. It says to me, be gentle with yourself, but also be firm with what you want. Remember that you can create it. You've worked hard in the past and have created whatever it was that you sort of needed materially. Now you're doing it sort of from a more spiritual standpoint, right? To sort of also, I feel like when we get that feeling spiritually, and we get that sort of centered feeling spiritually for my Scorpios, you guys are going to feel safer materially too. The next two cards are the outside influences. These are sometimes people, events, sometimes energies or belief systems that are having an effect on us during the month of April. So let's see what they are. Weird. How did that just happen? Is half the deck upside down? What is going on? Alright, I'm gonna read this because the same position was upside down for Cancer. It's the Queen of Cups. So, Cups is your guys' home element. It is the emotions, and the Queen is got her back turned to you guys. I feel like she is upside down. I feel like this is similar to the Cancerian reading when I think of this as being an outside influence. I feel like this is the world being turned on its ear for us in the month of April. I feel like emotionally it's going to pull and tug at us. I feel like, again, we may not want to give it as much attention as it wants from us. I think that that Four of Wands in the center is part of that energy of no, I can't look at that. If we look at this sort of also this creation of material prosperity from the past, we've had to stay focused on our material prosperity or our goals and not give in to the idea of what's going on in the outside world, right? We've in the past we've just sort of put our nose to the grindstone and made it happen and worked towards it. And I feel like that's what's going on here with keeping this sort of idea of balance and spiritual connection during this time. This Queen of Cups, to me, her being inverted, it feels like the world might feel a little bit emotionally turned upside down. But this is outside of us, and we need to remember that, right? This is what's going on for others emotionally. This is what's going on in the world emotionally. And yes, it is going on, right? We can acknowledge it. We can sort of maybe even feel it a little bit at times. But I definitely get this sense with this 4 in the center here that there's a shoring up or a protection that's going on for my Scorpios. And you guys need to sort of protect yourselves also, similar to like my Cancers. And it might just be because you guys are the water signs. And so there's the emotions can be strong within us. The psychic energy stuff is strong within us too. So we might be picking up on cues and emotions from the outside world and the messages that are coming in from the outside that might feel overwhelming or sort of just too much to deal with. And that's kind of where we almost need to, I never want to tell anybody to put blinders on, but I kind of feel like this 4 is saying, no, you can't come across these boundaries. These are my clear boundaries. This is what I need. And you've got this idea of temperance here also protecting you, similar to the Cancer reading, where it was down here as the foundation. So to me, it speaks to this idea of staying in balance in the month of April and being mindful of what you put your attention on. If it begins to pull you emotionally and sort of take you away from this sort of idea of spiritual connection and stability, it's going to scare you off course a little bit, is sort of how I feel. Or it's just going to make for a more confusing, emotive, kind of wonky month. Okay? So just this is outside of you guys. This is experiences going on around you, outside of you. They aren't necessarily your own experiences. And because you're a water sign, you feel it, right? You feel it at a deeper level emotionally or whatever than maybe most. So remember that as you're walking through your April, if you're seeing things that are pulling at your heartstrings or really getting you, prepare yourself and keep yourself strong and stay balanced. Let's look at the other outside influence. So this is the 10 of Wands. I love this. All right, so we have the 4 of Wands here. We have the 10 of Wands as the other outside influence. Again, we have another, look at this. It's very similar to the Cancer card that was on the other side. There was a conversation happening between 2 people sitting on a fence on the swords, right? Where I felt like Cancer was dealing with it more mentally. Scorpios are dealing with it more spiritually. Wands is the element of spirit. To me, this 10 is like a completion cycle also, where Cancer was changing their thoughts in how they interact in sort of their interactions with that compassion towards others. Scorpios also need to change and come to a completion spiritually with how they interact and help others. You guys have like, there was a strength that I saw in Cancer's reading through the 3 females that happened through the center. You guys have this more earth-based strength and this sort of fiery nature to you, even though you're a water sign, right? Scorpios are the ones that you don't want to fuck with, right? Like, of the water signs. Like, if you betray a Scorpio, it's like, it's all or nothing kind of with Scorpios, in my mind, right? You guys are about this, the sign that rules sex, death, and regeneration. There is no joking there. There's like, it's kind of black, it's kind of white. So to me, I feel like there's a strength in your guys' cards and there's a completion happening or an opportunity throughout the month of April to understand spiritually how to best sort of interact with all of these situations from a very strong and empowered, spiritually strong space. That's also fortifying this 4 of Wands in the center. Right? So keep a lookout for those things. I'm not saying not to help people. I'm saying that you certainly can help people and that we need to help people. But we also need to understand that the world might be a little bit crazy for a minute, especially with these cards showing up on this side upside down. It's saying to me that our worlds might appear a little bit turned upside down for the next, month or so. And we'll see what happens in future forecasts, but there is this opportunity here for spiritual growth and understanding coming at you from some of these scenarios. If we take them again with this idea of temperance, balance, taking them from this idea of being like conscious material creators, and the success that we've had in the past and the strength of that, staying grounded in that earthy, grounded energy, right? Letting that be the foundation. We can like produce successful results in the month of April. Okay. Now this last card is what I call the potential outcomes card, and the reason why I say potential is it's sort of where things could end up for my Scorpios, barring that nothing major changes, right? If it's a good card, the beauty is that we don't have to do much to change anything. We just sort of allow this energy to come to pass. We just keep going as we're going. If it's a negative card, we can use this card as a warning. It's not set in stone. We can use it as a warning to make choices and changes to affect this outcome, so it doesn't have to come to pass. So this is the Ace of Pentacles. Get it, bitch. Ace of Pentacles is a beautiful card. It's very grounded. It's about inspired thought. She's relaxed by the month of April. She is calm by the month of April. I actually feel like this is an interesting energy to end the month with. It feels like I don't feel a lot of financial fear or anything like that here because we have this Nine of Pentacles as the foundation. What I feel like it is for you guys is it's more about spiritual and emotional kind of psychic connection and protection. I feel like you guys are needing to sort of let me just look at this for a minute. Like when we obtain this like this stability in who we are spiritually, right? And this sort of boundaries and feeling centered and this temperance that our spirit and our soul wants us to find within us. When we allow that grace and that ease to come from within us and we start to utilize it in situations that are manageable, and we start to complete these situations and learn things about ourselves and start to treat people differently in ways that help us, but not getting overwhelmed by the craziness of everything that's going on. By month's end, we actually feel very complete and whole in the material world, right? We feel inspired by how we operate in the material world. We feel inspired, and there's like a newness. There's a peace, sort of, that I feel like could be happening for my Scorpios at the end of the month, that allows you guys to sort of settle into this new way of being. And also, I have to say, with this ace, it's the creation of new ideas too, right? So whatever hard work that we've done in the past that's driving all of this leads and opens the door for new hard work to come by month's end of April. And I don't mean hard work, but I mean like inspired thought through material creation, through the betterment of relationships, the acquiring of security, material security, that sort of thing. Not that it's all about that for you guys. This is about finding like that spiritual security within in these three cards here. And as we do that, we start to feel safer in the material world. Does that make sense? That's why I feel like when we arrive here, I feel like this Queen of Cups, she then turns over. I'm feeling like this is how the cards are moving for me. And look at that. She starts to show up. I'm going to move this over here. When by month's end, if most of us arrive at this Ace of Pentacles, this Queen, that craziness of the world, we start to see it differently because we're operating within the world, in the material, in the earth, from this place of inspiration and contentment and peace. She then is able to flip over and look at where she turns. She's our home element, right? She's our Queen of Cups. She's our water sign. She's our outside. And she starts to turn and faces our center. And she's actually, I feel like now that she's turned by month's end, she is admiring all of the beautiful spiritual work that my Scorpios have done through the month of April. Do you guys see that? I totally see that in the cards. I don't know if you guys see that, but I do. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me a like, a share, a comment. Let me know how your April goes, Scorpios. Please leave me a subscribe over at the YouTube channel if you don't mind. Hit the bell, the notification bell. I'm trying to break 400 subscribers. I've been at 396 for like a week or two now. It's driving me nuts. But please subscribe to the business page. I have some things that I'm going to be trying to do over the next few days that might be fun. Hit the notification bell so you're notified. There will be free card pull nights and things like that to entertain us while we're all at home, feeling our way through this. All right, I love you guys. Have a great April, and now I will move on to Pisces. All right, Miss Queen of Pentacles. I've got to go through this entire deck because this is throwing me off. These singular cards coming out. One comes out upside down each time. Sorry, Pisces. I know you guys are waiting and you're so gracious, but you're mutable. You can wait. You can flow with this. I just have to go through this deck really quick and refresh the energy of this deck. Make sure that there's no... That's just too weird. Everybody's upright. What the fuck? I mean, I trust spirit, so I believe that and I trust my cards always, so there's always a reason. There's always a reason and a season, guys, but I'm just doing a double check just because I think that's weird that it showed up upside down, both in the same position for both of the water signs. If Pisces gets an upside down card in that side, I'm gonna freak. They are all upright. I have hand checked each and every one of them. Okay, so now on to my beautiful and lovely Pisces. My watery crybabies. I love you guys. I love all of you guys. Like, I love every sign, really, but they all have their wonderful attributes. But the water signs, for sure, are my home away from home. So my Pisces, which I am a Pisces, and I have a Pisces Venus, which means I love my Pisces. I have a very watery, emotional love style. Like, I can't help it. It's very vulnerable if I'm not careful. I also have a Pisces, my Mercury is in Pisces, so I communicate like a Pisces. So, I'm a big old crybaby, let's just say that. But this is for my Pisces. So I want to ask Spirit for the reading for April of 2020 for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, or those with planets heavily placed in Pisces. If you guys want to support the channel, I've said this before, please follow me at Engelgeist333 on Instagram. You can also subscribe to my Patreon to make a monthly subscription donation that helps to support me and the channel. You can contact me at the business page for personal readings. But this is your free monthly Tarotscope. This is a broad spectrum Tarotscope for anybody that has the sign of Pisces in their sun, moon, or rising, or heavily placed planets in Pisces. And it is a broad spectrum reading for many people, so you will have to apply where these cards fit in your life, but I trust that you guys are intuitive enough to know how and where. What's going on, Pisces? Alright, so this first card, guys, is where you're vibing at. It's the U card. It's kind of where you're going to be most of the month. Not necessarily the entirety of the month, but just sort of gives me an idea of sort of what the month of April is going to be like for most of my Pisces. It also gives me insight into sort of what we could be creating for the future. Wow. Get it, bitch. We get the Strength card. Okay, so... I love that we're leading with a major arcana card in our center, and certainly the Pisces, I think that we need it. I love that all my water babies this month, I feel like they're leading from different areas of strength. I'm going to just go back and reference. We had that Four of Wands with Scorpio, which to me is about spiritual sort of stability. And then we had, what was Cancer's? Cancer's was the Queen of Pentacles, right? Which was that sort of grounded, earthy energy and that nurturing energy, right? My Pisces, you guys are kicking off with the Strength card. Strength is major arcana. This means that you guys are like putting forward a lot of oomph. We are still in Pisces season right now, but as we head into April, that might be why we're sort of leading with a little bit of this oomph. But I want to say this. And what I find interesting about this card that really is calling my attention since the very get-go, Pisces, because you are the 12th sign, there's some people, and I'm not an astrologer by any means, but there's this belief that I kind of like, that I've heard in certain circles, that as we incarnate through different lifetimes, through the zodiac, right? And we start at Aries and we end at Pisces. So that's why Pisces can be so empathetic and so aware of other people and how they feel, because they've already incarnated, their spirit has probably already incarnated through the other 12 signs at some point, right? So I think that that's a beautiful analogy, right? And when I think about Pisces and how empathetic, and yes, we can be emotional and a little bit kooky and crazy, or we're misperceived a lot of the times because we're so emotional and we're so sort of tuning fork sensitive. When I look at this card, the strength is in our sensitivity. And I look at this dragon and this mirror, and we're holding this shield at this dragon like a mirror. We're dealing with dragons right now in our world, Pisces, right? There's all sorts of crazy shit going on in our world. There's a lot of stuff where we could melt or at the drop of a hat and be like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? The world's falling apart. Help, help, help. But really, I feel like this is actually an opportunity for us to step forward and mirror back to the world through the emotional selves that we are, kind of what's going on, right? And we can sort of slay our own personal dragons, but also by being mirrors emotionally for everybody else out in the world, we can also help to sort of help them slay their dragons. Does that make sense? I know that sounds kind of kooky, but that's the sense that I'm getting from this card, is that the sort of psychic sensitivity, emotional side of Pisces actually maybe gets to sort of step forward a little bit more in the month of April to help us sort of, not only do we like become strong in who we are and how we feel and what we know to be true, but I think our strength in doing that enables others to access that for themselves, is the feeling that I'm getting from this card. This mirror here is really pulling my attention, showing this dragon what it is, you know, like showing it for itself, like us shining our light, shining our sensitivity. How do I want to say this? This is going to be a long-winded reading. I can feel it already. As a Pisces, I was always told not to cry. And I think sometimes when I cry, that's when I'm at my truest form of who I am. That's like the energy of my heart chakra, right? That's the being aware of what really does go on this planet. Acknowledging it for what it is, right? I feel like when Pisces owns that, or as we begin to own that through this strength card, we actually do a service to the world. We start to show the world maybe what's wrong in the world or what is not working in the world. I believe that all the water signs, I mean, all signs have the ability to mirror different aspects of what we do. I'm not saying that Pisces is any sort of special, but I think that we can take people to places emotionally that's uncomfortable for them because they can't go there, right? And so to me, this says we get to go there this month in April, and we actually get to almost lead the charge, be the strong ones that kind of go through this, and we don't have to. Um, it's almost like okay, so maybe everybody else is gonna lose their shit in the month of April emotionally, and we're gonna be like, oh, this is nothing. We've been losing our shit for years. You guys are just now noticing this is going on in the world because we've been seeing it forever. That's kind of like the feeling I get from this card. Is like we've been seeing the sort of mistreatment of people and feeling it, or the mistreatment of animals, or the fucking corruption of the government, or whatever. We've been sensing it and feeling it and crying over it forever. So here, let us show you how to deal with it. Let us show you how to shine your light and sort of slay that dragon. Okay, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from this card. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I sound like a total kook, but I feel like that's what's going on for the majority of my Pisces in the month of April. Now, let's go to the foundation card. The foundation card is, I use the analogy of building a house. It's sort of the card from the past. We lay the foundation first, right? And everything is built upon it. So all these cards are built upon this foundation. It's the memory of this. It's this card that opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today for Pisces. But it's also the memory of this card that sort of holds everything in place. Everything's built upon this card. So this is the Ace of Swords. I gotta show you guys this design of this card. We have an angel here, and she's blowing around in the wind. She's like letting the wind carry her. And today I put up a video. I was outside listening, talking to the wind. I know that sounds kooky as shit, but I was totally out there talking to the wind. The Ace of Swords to me is about clarity of intellect, inspired thinking, thinking outside the box, daydreaming, being the idealistic dreamers that we are. Maybe being looked at like we were misunderstood, or oh, that's not possible, Pisces, you can't do that, that's not even real. Like, no, we can't dwell in those emotions, we can't create those fantasies, we can't live in that utopian world of treating each other with kindness. And I believe that we can. And I believe that we get to maybe begin to start to show people that we can through this strength. And I believe that the foundation of this is that we have been inspired at times through our own thought. We have this sort of angel. This is similar to the angel that we saw in Temperance that was up above and down below for Cancer. We have this angel down here as our foundation through the month of April. So I feel like my water signs all have angels traveling with them through this time, through this April, okay? Keep that in mind as you move forward. This Ace of Swords to me is onward and upward. She's facing and swinging towards the future, right? This is inspired thought, or that sort of creativity, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess creativity, not daydreaming, because a daydream would mean something that's not real, but this is about maybe actually the thoughts that we've had in the past, or the ideas that we've had in the past about how the world should be, or how the world could be better. Maybe now is the time to sort of utilize our strength to kind of bring those forward into the world, or to share that with the world more. That's the foundation. There's a clarity and a decisiveness that is the foundation in the month of April, and this strength card that kind of connect to me. Let's say that we could have a very empowered month where we actually can truly appreciate ourselves for who we are and what we are and how we think and what we believe and how we feel. And we can actually utilize that to sort of maybe even show others the way through this, if that makes sense. So the next card is the Spirit or Soul card. It tells me a bit about sort of where the Spirit or Soul is at in all of this in the month of April for my Pisces. We have the Sun card. The Sun gives life to everything. The Sun is always an affirmative card. The Sun is like, if you're asking a yes or no question, the Sun would be a definite yes, right? This being in the spirit space is about sort of the energy and the vitality and the power of our spirit. Being like that sort of magnitude like the Sun. And if I have Pisces that are really emotional, or they maybe aren't feeling it right now because we're going through this and we're maybe feeling the angst of the shift, by April, when we settle into this, I have a feeling that everybody else might be freaking out or like feeling it. And we're going to be like, oh, we already been through this. We felt this months ago, or we felt this like back in March. Like, we're now ready to shine. We're ready to bring forth our power from a deep spiritual place. And when I look at this Sun and I look at this Ace of Swords as the foundation, it's like, begin to let that quirky, emotional, psychic daydreamer out and share it with the planet. Share the strength and the beauty and the vulnerability that it is, because I have a feeling that that's where we're supposed to go. We're supposed to not be robbing each other of toilet paper. We're supposed to be loving each other and healing each other and helping each other and helping ourselves and taking care of one another without worries about skin color and gender and all of these different things, right? And I just sort of feel like this, to me, this Sun says, shine on, you batshit crazy diamond. Like, shine on. And I'm getting emotional. But that's okay, because that's who I am, right? I have to own that. Because to me, this is like spirit speaking through the cards, and it's just telling me as much as I'm trying to tell you guys, own who you are. And this goes for anyone, not even just the Pisces. Like, own who you are. They're celebrating in this card. They're dancing. They're dancing in the light of the sun. The sun gives light to everything. Our spirit is going to imbue us with a joy, with an energy to propel us forward, to give light to not only ourselves, but quite potentially others. You know, the sun like empowers everything. So I just want these three cards to me, what they're saying to me personally, and maybe that's why I'm getting emotional, is that it's just telling me to like really own who I am. And so that's the message that I feel like is coming through for those of you that maybe don't feel like you are understood or can own who you are, because you might be too sensitive, or because you might be too empathic, or because you might be whatever it is you're telling you are. Let that go. Shed that thought, cut it away with clarity, look to the future, let the angel protect you, and move forward in strength. Mirror that back, mirror who you are out to the world, allowing others to find who they are. Does that make sense? So the next two cards are the outside influences. These cards represent as, okay, I just want to say this. I want to live in a world where we can live from our heart. Like, ultimately, I believe that's reality. We're not there yet, right? But I believe that that's a reality, and I want to live in that reality where we can live with freedom from the heart chakra, where we can have our heart chakra open and not be in fear of somebody slamming it down or hurting it or just invalidating it or shutting it off. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the goal here with all of what we're dealing with right now, is how are we going to interact with it? How are we going to change it? To me, this feels like my Pisces might be on the forefront of leading that change if we choose to be so, or to choose to do so. Now, these are the outside influences. Wah! Sorry. So, well, I should be sorry. That's just who I am, but let me move on. So the outside influences are always people, places, sometimes things more vague like energies or belief systems that are having an effect on us, either, you know, positively or negatively, but we should be made aware of them in the month of April. So let's see what we've got. We've got the Knave of Swords. So I like that he's standing over there with that sword. He looks like he wants to fight, though. I mean, if we look at this, see how this guy's got his shield up, and we've got the Knave of Swords over here, like with his sword up, like looking like he wants to like crack it down onto the Strength card. To me, this could be the outside world. I think that this is the outside world, maybe trying to give us a little bit of trouble in our mind and trying to tell us, oh no, you can't think that way. But the Knave is always like the Page of Swords, right? The Knave is that youthful energy, that younger person, right? Swords is the element of the intellect and air, right? When I think about the Knave is I want to say this, the Knave is no challenge for that Strength card. He is well protected, right, in the center there. But to me, it feels like our mind might creep in, or opportunities, situations that are annoying or knave-like, child, you know, like annoyances might come in that want to creep in and create fear in our mind, right? He looks like he's approaching us with that sword, kind of going like, ah, ah. But what he is he's the knaves always pack like sort of learning lessons, or bring like these opportunities to learn. So he's not smart enough to deal with the Strength card, right? He won't beat us, but he's there to teach us. He's there to maybe annoy us or show us, you know, areas where our mind might be spooked or freaked out. And that's when we have to also go back to this foundation of this Ace of Swords, right? Look at where it's pointing. The sword is pointing right at him, like slicing right through that bullshit. Like, no, not today, Satan. You know what I'm saying? Like, so going back to this foundation of this sort of Ace of Swords, this inspired thought, when things start to feel sticky, or we start to feel attacked, or we start to feel like, oh my God, this is not a world where I can be strong and be myself and shine my light like the sun, right? This is, you know, I'm watching too much CNN or too much Facebook, and I'm realizing people aren't ready for the love that I feel like exists or should exist in this world. We need to remember that no, it does exist, it is real, we can create it. We need to live in that belief, we need to live in that dream. We are the dreamers. The Pisces are the dreamers. Our phrase is I believe. We have to believe in that and then begin to create it, right? So we will have things that will creep into our mind that will try and, deter us. We will have things in April that will try and, jump in our path and give us a little bit of trouble. But with that strength card, the Sun card, and this Ace of Swords, we're set up to like just push that right out of the way. Let's see what the other outside influence is. We have the Two of Swords. So it's funny too. I said this earlier. We have Saturn, which is the planet of lessons, is shifting from Capricorn into Aquarius, and that's a big deal. And we are surrounded by this air element energy. It's happening on March 21st, right when we go right out of Pisces on the 19th. We go out of Pisces season, and then the equinox is happening, right? Spring equinox, first day of spring, and now we're also having this shift of Saturn, the planet of hard lessons and adulting, going into an air sign, right, of Aquarius, the expansion of Aquarius. So it makes sense to me. We see these two air element cards around us as for the month of April, right? This Two of Swords to me feels like the clashing of thoughts. Again, this feels like maybe other people outside of us sort of giving their opinions or trying to contradict what we know to be true. This might be arguments to me. This feels like this could be actual arguments amongst some of our loved ones or some of the people that let me just look at this for a moment. Like, to me, I almost feel like this card feels to me like a clapback from if we are too much in our strength, if we are too much, in our light, and we might be, trying to stay there, we might find that we get resistance from people around us that we know personally. Be it friends, be it family, be it co-workers. I feel like this feels like these two crossed swords here and these people here. To me, generally, twos feel like communion and feel like a coming together. But with this card, as I'm looking at this, I feel like these two, both of these, feel a little bit threatened by what's going on in the center here, energetically. This feels like the outside world. Like, we don't really know her. She doesn't go to this school. Like, we don't know her. She don't go here. But these two we know. These are like our friends, our family. I don't know. We love them. They're the two, right? We're more companion to this card. They may give us conflicting ideas out of love, maybe even out of fear, out of anger or frustration with us. Oh, you can't do that. You can't think of things this way. The world's falling apart. No, it's not. We need to be strong. We need to shine our light. We need to, this inspired thinking that people think is daydreams. It's not daydreams. It's what's needed right now. We might find that some of the people around us don't necessarily take so easily to our ideas. That's okay. That's, that doesn't negate the validity and the power of this Ace of Swords down here. Because of all of this air energy that I see in this Pisces reading right now, we have the strongest as our foundation, which is that sort of expansive, open-minded dreamer sort of, which is very Aquarian, energy. Aquarius is about expansion and that open-mindedness and that sort of stuff. And Pisces, being the dreamer, is definitely, about expansive thought and dream, right? So I don't know if I'm getting too esoteric for you guys. I hope I'm not. I hope this is making sense. But so don't be mindful if you do get clapped back from close family members, coworkers, friends, partners, that they get a little bit frustrated with you or whatever, but it's minimal. I feel like I don't feel like it has. We need to not allow it to throw us off our strength and the power that's coming from our spirit during this time, and the clarity of what we know to be true as our foundation. Now, this last card is what I call the potential outcomes card. This card tells me where most of the Pisces will be headed, barring that nothing major changes, right? So this is the future card. This is the end of April card, right? It tells me sort of where everything's going. If it's a good card, the great part is we don't have to do much. We just have to stay in our strength and shine, from our spirit with that energy of the sun and and stay true to ourselves and don't let the outside world try and tell us who we are or what we are too much, right? And this card will come to pass. But if this card is a negative card or something that we don't want to have happen, we can utilize this as a warning right now to make choices and changes to affect this outcome so it does not come to pass, okay? So it's not necessarily set in stone. It's just like it can be used as a guidepost. So let's see what that is. So we have the Six of Pentacles. So to me, this feels like actually being appreciated in the material world at a certain level. And the reason why I say that is it's Pentacles, which is earth energy, right? And material wealth and that sort of thing. But I feel like this is about her finery that she's wearing. And maybe by the month of April, we're actually starting to be appreciated. We're starting to feel acknowledged. We're starting to be sort of what's the word I want to look for? Like we're being acknowledged in the material world for the sort of the I guess the blessings that we bring to the table through our magical thinking and our heartfelt emotions. Does that make sense? So I feel like this is sort of us feeling very balanced and okay by the end of April. This is about us feeling sort of not like we have so much or so little, not worried about any of that. It's more about, like, to me, like, she appears, like I'm seeing in my mind's eye right now, like a peacock releasing its feathers and its plumage and being appreciated for its beauty. And I'm not saying peacocking in an egoic way, but it's just like that idea of, to me, the Six of Pentacles almost feels like being able to sort of let our true beautiful selves out, and the actual the material world sort of acknowledges that, and we're at peace with that, we're okay with that, we're accepted, right? We're able to ground in that because of this strength that we had in this Sun card, right? I feel like she's sort of like ready for the party that comes in May. Whatever's going to happen in May, God knows, with the way this world is going. But energetically, this feels like there's an opportunity here for us to own who we are at a very material level, and also to allow the material world to appreciate us back and see us in a way that we haven't maybe always been allowed to be seen in the material world. Because we are so sort of like, our sign and our feelings and our emotions and our psychicness and our empathy and all of that is so sort of ephemeral and from another place, that with this strength and this Sun card and this Ace of Swords, it's like bringing some of that down onto the material plane and imbuing, like creating some of that beauty in the material world when we so kind of badly need it right now. So that is your April forecast, you guys. I hope it makes sense. Please leave me a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe. Let me know, what you think about it. If I was too esoteric and weird, if I cried too much, just let me know. I will see you guys all again in May. Keep an eye out for other stuff. If you hit the notification bell either at YouTube or at the Facebook business page, you can get notified when I go live and do free card pulls. Please follow me on at Engelgeist333 on Instagram, and you can also go to my Patreon page at Engelgeist333 and subscribe there to help keep these forecasts and things free through supporting them through subscriptions, if that interests you. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too esoteric, and I'm interested to see how your guys' April goes. All right, thank you for being patient, and thank you for tuning in. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.